I feel like Luigi's Mansion has always been sort of an underappreciated franchise as a whole. There have only been 3 games up to this point over the span of almost 20 years, but I'm happy to report that Luigi's Mansion 3 kicks ass, man. Excuse my language, but it does. Luigi's Mansion 3 takes place in a hotel and not a mansion, oddly enough, and in typical Luigi Mansion fashion. King Boo shows up, puts all of Luigi's pals in picture frames, and it's up to him now to explore the spooky hotel and save the day. It's typical stuff for this franchise, and while this game doesn't necessarily do anything special with its story, it does make everything else about it arguably play and feel better than the previous 2 titles. For starters, the game just looks eye-popping good on the Nintendo Switch, and it might actually, graphically speaking, be the best looking game so far on the platform. It looks great, it performs great, and works well in both handheld and docked mode. Not only that, but the gameplay is better than ever, guys. Everything you loved about the other 2 games is basically here, from the boos to the unique ghosts and even Professor Egad. Oh, and the Polterpup. Can't forget the Polterpup. The boss fights I found to be fun and engaging, and the puzzles, for the most part, were varied and even at times challenging, even for an adult like yours truly. Another cool feature is Luigi himself, which creates so many more possibilities within the hotel for solving and finding hidden collectibles everywhere. And it also provides a 2-player option for those of you that want to play through the campaign with a buddy. Speaking of puzzles, however, I do want to mention that not all of them are good. There are some puzzles that are just so vague and don't really give you an idea of what you're supposed to do that it can be a little infuriating at times when trying to solve it. When you do solve one of these puzzles, they don't feel all that satisfying either, because it's not usually your intellect that was affecting your progression, but rather poor game design. But these are few and far between in the game, and I will just say that about 90 to 95% of the game's puzzles are an absolute delight. There's also the online multiplayer aspect in this game as well, but it's not anything to write home about, and it's not because the online modes are particularly bad. It's more because Nintendo just doesn't really know how to make a good online experience. When I played the online mode Skyscraper, for example, it became very evident just how useful a voice chat system Nintendo would be for this mode, but alas, you're forced to just mash the D-pad and hope that your team is paying attention. And the last thing I want to bring up about this game are the controls, actually, because when I started playing this game, I didn't really like them, and I discovered it's because they were using the gyro controls. Now, some people, they swear by gyro and motion controls, and this game does offer that for you. And I'm not necessarily even saying it's at that point, but it just wasn't for me. But thankfully, this game, I discovered, has a lot of options in terms of how you want to play the game. And for someone like me personally, I prefer to play my Luigi almost like the Nintendo GameCube style, and so that's the way I played it. And once I switched over the controls, I found this game to be a lot more enjoyable, just because I felt like I was in more control of Luigi and Gooigi, if that makes any sense at all. But there's also another really cool option that you can tell Professor Egad, because you know how he likes to ramble on and give you lots of tutorials and tidbits of information. You can actually kind of tell him in a lot more polite terms than what I'm going to say right now, but you can tell him to piss off, essentially, and you can be left to your own devices for the most part in this game. It's a really nice and welcoming feature, and I hope other games follow suit, because it would be nice to tell more games to quit telling you how to play a game, you know what I'm saying? So, to break it down for you guys, Luigi's Mansion 3 as a single player experience is awesome. And if you have a buddy that wants to help you solve the mysteries of the haunted hotel, hey, more power to you, because I think this would be a really fun co-op game as well. I personally, though, don't recommend getting this game for any of the online modes or features. And overall, though, Luigi's Mansion 3, guys, it's just a really fun experience that I think every Switch owner should at least try. And I'm going to go ahead now and give Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch a very, very solid B+, and I really wanted to give it an A-, but I have to be a reviewer, I have to be a critic, so it's getting a B+, but man, this was a really delightful game. Alright guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I just want to say I appreciate you. You're beautiful, your faces, all of you, you're awesome. And I will see you guys on the next Overrated video that I do. I am Bradley Overrated, out like a trap. Have a good one.